Sometimes, a situation becomes so complicated and tangled that it's hard to figure out what's really going on. That's exactly what has happened in the case involving rap superstar Jay-Z and a man named Rymir Satterthwaite, a man who has been claiming for over a decade that Jay-Z is his father. Rymir hasn't kept quiet about it either. He's been public, loud, and persistent. He's taken his claims to court multiple times, asking for one simple thing: a DNA test to find out the truth once and for all. It seems like a straightforward request. But what makes this situation unusual is that Jay-Z has never taken that test, not even once. For someone with the power to end the speculation with a simple cheek swab, Jay-Z has taken a completely different approach. Instead of cooperating, he's brought in some of the most powerful lawyers in the country. His legal team has fought hard to get these cases thrown out of court, arguing that this whole thing is just a way to try to get money out of a billionaire. But now, after years of legal fighting and media attention, things have reached a boiling point. Most recently, Rymir and his godmother, Lily, filed yet another lawsuit. This time, they weren't asking for child support or financial help. Instead, they were demanding compensation for emotional suffering, harm to Rymir's reputation, and the financial struggles he says he's faced because of being rejected and ignored for so long. Jay-Z's legal team immediately pushed back. They accused Rymir and Lily of ignoring a court order from 2022, which banned them from filing more lawsuits on this matter without special permission. Jay-Z's lawyers said this was just a way to get around that rule. They called the lawsuit another version of the same story that courts had already dismissed many times over the years. To them, this was abuse of the legal system. To understand how we got here, we have to go all the way back to 1982. According to Rymir's mother, Wanda, she met Jay-Z when she was a teenager in Philadelphia. They had a brief relationship, and she says they were together again in Brooklyn a couple of weeks later. After that, Jay-Z vanished from her life. For years, Wanda said nothing. She put another man, Robert Graves, on Rymir's birth certificate. But when Rymir turned 8, Wanda sat him down and told him what she believed was the truth: Jay-Z was his real father. She told him that the man who raised him was not his biological dad. As Rymir grew older, Wanda repeated the same story again and again. For him, it became a part of his identity. And as an adult, he held on to that belief. When he finally tried to get legal answers, however, he ran into one obstacle after another. In 2011, Rymir took a DNA test that proved Robert Graves wasn't his father. That should have opened the door to test Jay-Z. But instead of bringing resolution, it dragged Rymir into a complicated and frustrating legal fight that still hasn't ended. Wanda had once tried to file for child support years earlier, but the case was thrown out because she filed it in the wrong state. It never got refiled, and Jay-Z's lawyers made it very clear that he wanted nothing to do with the situation. Now it's 2025. More than a decade after that first DNA test, the situation is still unresolved. Jay-Z's lawyers continue to deny any involvement. The court told Jay-Z to respond to the most recent case by July 18. His legal team did respond, but only to say that the claims were false and that the case had already been rejected many times. In the past, they went even further, accusing Rymir of dragging Jay-Z's name through the mud, again and again, for attention. But Rymir insists this isn't about getting rich. He says it's about getting the truth, about finally putting this painful chapter to rest. What makes the whole thing even more serious is Wanda's age when she became pregnant. She was just 16 years old. If Jay-Z really is the father, it raises difficult legal and moral questions Jay-Z and his team may not want to address. That could be one reason they've been fighting so hard to keep the story out of court. Jay-Z hasn't just refused to take a DNA test. His legal team has worked for years to stop this case in its tracks. From court orders to dismissals to legal filings, they've made it extremely difficult for Rymir and his team to keep the case alive. One person who has stood by Rymir throughout this ordeal is Lily Collet, his godmother. She's been his biggest supporter, helping him navigate the legal system, filing papers, collecting evidence, and making sure the case didn't fade into silence. Lily says she has documents to back up everything, including an affidavit from Wanda. She also brought up a key argument in the most recent case. Jay-Z's lawyers claimed the court in New Jersey didn't have the right to hear the case because Jay-Z didn't own property there. But Lily pointed to a statement from Beyoncé's mother, Tina Knowles, who wrote in her book that Jay-Z once owned property in New Jersey. If that's true, it could give the New Jersey court the legal authority to handle the case. While Lily and Rymir argue for fairness and truth, Jay-Z's team paints a different picture. They say Rymir is just looking for attention or money. They claim he's violated past court orders and filed too many lawsuits over the same issue. In their latest response, Jay-Z's lawyers accused Rymir and Lily of breaking the 2022 court order that banned them from filing new cases without permission. They said this latest lawsuit was just another attempt to get the same result with a new strategy, but again, Reimer says this has nothing to do with money. He isn't asking for child support. He's not suing for millions. What he wants is compensation for years of emotional pain, missed opportunities, and the mental burden of not knowing who his father really is. He says he's been laughed at, denied jobs, and rejected by people simply because of the rumors surrounding his Identity.in interviews. Reimer often sounds both exhausted and determined. You can hear the pain in his voice, but also a sense of strength. He says he's tired of being told to move on when all he wants is the truth. Despite the obstacles, Reimer hasn't let the situation define his life completely. He's made music, tried to build a career, and worked to make a name for himself outside of the court system. But deep down, the pain remains. Knowing that the man he believes to be his father is one of the most powerful and influential celebrities in the world, and that he won't even acknowledge him, has taken a heavy toll. Imagine being told as a child that your father is someone famous, only to grow up and be completely ignored by that person. That kind of rejection cuts deep. It creates confusion, anger, and sadness that are hard to explain. Just when it looked like things were heating up again, everything changed. On July 22, Reimer formally dropped his case. There was no press conference. No detailed explanation. He simply filed paperwork to withdraw the lawsuit. Then, he posted a vague message online, saying that changes had been made to his case on July 18 without his knowledge. He ended his message by saying, "It's all about my mother now." That one sentence hit hard. After so many years of legal battles, public appearances, and personal struggle, Reimer suddenly walked away. No one knows why. Some wonder if he was pressured behind the scenes, or if a private deal was reached. Others think he may have just been too emotionally drained to keep going. Whatever the reason, the sudden end left more questions than answers. Rumors have floated around for years that Jay-Z may already have taken a DNA test, possibly as far back as 2011. If that's true, and the results were never made public, it would raise serious questions about why this case has continued for so long. Jay-Z's legal team has always insisted that Wanda named another man on the birth certificate, and that man was legally responsible for child support. They say that's the end of the story, but Reimer and Lily argue that Wanda didn't know how to find Jay-Z at the time, and just wanted to give her son some kind of legal stability. When a DNA test later cleared that man of being the father, they believe the next obvious step was to test Jay-Z. But he never agreed. That silence is what's keeping the story alive. If Jay-Z had nothing, thanks for sticking with me through this deep dive. Whether or not Jay-Z is Reimer's father, this story goes far beyond celebrity gossip. It's about truth, identity, and a man's search for answers. After years of court battles, pain, and silence, the case is paused, but far from over. One simple test could have ended it all, yet the questions remain. Why the silence? Why the resistance? We may never get the full story, but one thing is clear: Reimer's fight was never just about fame. It was about being seen. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more.